overhand knot is a basis for other knots. It is the most commonly used and is the simplest to make. An overhand knot is made by passing the end of a line over the standing part and through the loop. An overhand knot may be used to prevent the line from unlaying, to form a knob at the end of the line, or to serve as a basis of other knots. The overhand knot is also used to increase a person's grip on a line. The overhand knot reduces the strength of the line to 45% of its capacity. The next knot is a figure 8 knot. To tie a figure 8 knot, form an under or overhand loop in the line. Pass the running end over the standing part, up the other side, and through the loop. Tighten the knot by pulling on the running end and the standing part. Let's do it again. Form an under or overhand loop in the line. Pass the running end over the standing part, up the other side, and through the loop. Tighten the knot by pulling on the running end and the standing part. A figure 8 knot is used to prevent the line from unreeving when rove through a block. The knot is easy to untie. A figure 8 knot reduces the strength of the line 50%. The next knot will be a square knot. To make a square knot, take the end of the line in your right hand and say to yourself, right line over left and left line over right. Pass the end over and under the part in your left hand. Then take the end that was in your left hand and this time say to yourself, left line over right line. Then pass it over and under the part in your left hand. Notice that in a square knot, the end and the standing part of one line come out on the same side of the bight formed by the other line. The square knot is used for tying two lines of the same size together so they will not slip. It will not hold if the lines are wet or if the lines are of different sizes. It tightens under strain, but can be untied by grasping the ends of the two bights and pulling the knot apart. The strength of a square knot is 45% of the line's capacity.
The half hitch. The half hitch is probably one of the easiest and first knots that you've ever learned. Two half hitches. You know the half hitch, so all you need to do is double them up, and then your knot becomes a lot more strong and reliable.
This version of the rolling hitch is good for a lengthwise pull on a rod. It's good for attaching handled tools to somebody aloft working on a scaffold. Firefighters use it to haul up hoses. Let's learn how to tie this knot. To tie the rolling hitch, we just want to take the working end and pass it over our rail in this case, and then we just want to do another turn to make a round turn. Take it across the standing part, back around the rod, and then up through this section, and then pull on the standing part and the working end to tighten the knot. And you'll notice that the working end comes out in the opposite direction to the standing part with a bar across the center, and it looks just like a clove hitch with an extra turn. And the direction of pull should go in the direction of these two wraps. So in this case, the pull direction should be this way.
The clove hitch. The clove hitch is another easy knot. It's not the strongest hitch knot, but it is an easy one to learn.
Hi, Joe here with Prepping to Survive. Today I'd like to show you how to tie a timber hitch. Recall that a hitch is a knot that is used to tie the working end of a rope, to another object such as a tree, pole, tent flap, something like that. So with the timber hitch, what we're going to do is we're going to take this rope, we're going to wrap it around the tree, and I'm going to take the working end and lay it on top of the standing end. Then I'm going to take the working end and bring it around underneath the standing end and wrap it on itself, back along itself, 4 or 5 times like this. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to cinch it down tightly. And what you'll see is that I have the standing end going around the tree, the working end looping over the standing end, underneath it, and then wrapped around itself several times. What this does is the more I pull this rope, the harder the load is on this rope, the more that this rope actually cinches down on itself, the working end tightens up on itself, and the more secure the knot is. I can pull this and it's not going to let go. The nice part about this is that once I release tension off of this, the knot easily comes undone. And there you have the timber hitch.
The constrictor. The constrictor knot is a knot that's very tight and very functional. This knot can be used if you're lowering down gear off of a cliff face or something like that, and you want to make sure that your load doesn't slip. The slip clove hitch. So this is just a modified clove hitch, and all we're doing is we're adding a slip to make it even easier to undo.
The bowline knot. To tie a bowline, hold the standing part with your left hand and the running end with your right hand. Flip an overhand loop in the standing part. Hold the standing part and the loop with the thumb and fingers of your left hand. Using your right hand, pass the running end up through the loop and under and around the standing part, and down again through the loop. Let's do it once more. Hold the standing part with your left hand and the running end with your right hand. Flip an overhand loop in the standing part and hold the standing part and the loop with the thumb and fingers of your left hand. Using your right hand, pass the running end up through the loop, around and under the standing part, and down again through the loop. The bowline is used to tie a temporary eye in the end of a line. A bowline neither slips nor jams and unties easily.
The sheet bend. The sheet bend is an important knot to learn. The reason is, you might not always have a rope that's long enough, but you might have two shorter lengths. So the sheet bend is a good way that you can join two pieces of rope or cordage together. The double sheet bend. The sheet bend itself is a very strong knot. You can make it stronger by doubling it up. The Prusik. The Prusik is a knot that's important that you keep your lines nice and tidy. Don't cross them over one on top of another. the taut line. The taut line is another relatively easy knot to learn, and the benefit is that it slides in and out on itself. The alpine butterfly. The alpine butterfly knot is a great knot to create a loop midway along the run of a line.